Hello, my name is Tyler McMahon, and I'm going to talk to you about Erik Erikson's 8 stages of development, his psychosocial developmental stages. I think they have a lot of merit. They make a lot of sense to me, and I agree with many of them, if not all. So, in his 8 stages of development, it starts at birth and then it goes to the end of someone's life. And if they have a positive outcome in that stage, their needs have been met, they've met the developmental task, then they successfully move on to the next stage, um, and they are effectively able to develop in that next stage. Although, if they have a crisis in one stage, a need was not met, they did not meet the developmental task, a caregiver failed a child, then they will have a disparity and a negative outcome in moving into the next stage of life. And so I'm quickly just going to highlight some of them. And that's something that I really like about Erik Erikson's stages. It just makes sense. If a child meets the developmental task um, and their needs are met and they're able to gain trust and have autonomy, then yes, I totally agree. They are going to be successful in moving on into their next stage of their life and developing socially and in their personality. Um, and then I also agree if they have a negative outcome, they have a crisis in one stage, that's going to hinder their development cognitively, socially, etc. And this is really something I can use as a school counselor in assessing a student of mine. And getting to know a student, getting to know their background. Let's say this student has trauma, and they had trauma in the first 6 years of their life. Then, okay, I'll look at Erik Erikson's stages. Let's see, 6 years. So they've had trauma in their first 6 years of their life. That means the first one, two, and three stages of their life, according to Erik Erikson's psychosocial stages, the first 3 out of 8, this child has had a crisis. That means they have not been able to develop a trust in adults and in the world. That means they have not been able to develop autonomy. They have fear and mistrust of others. They have self doubt about themselves. They didn't develop those motor and mental skills. And also, it means that they have guilt over themselves and their actions. Like they've done something wrong to bring that trauma onto themselves rather than having a purpose if they would have successfully developed in that stage. And so I think it totally makes sense, and it definitely has merit when you really look into it. So let's go and highlight now that I've discussed how I can use Erik Erikson's stages in assessing students who come into my office and really getting to say, okay, so clearly you've had trauma the first part of your life. You've had abuse, so you've had crisis, according to Erik Erikson, in these first 3 stages of your life. And so you were not able to develop and have a sense of trust and willpower and purpose. So the actions and the feelings you're displaying now is because of that. So I just really think that has a lot of merit in it, and it really makes sense to me, and I really like that. So kind of highlighting the hallmark components. I think the first 2 stages are so important and imperative in a child being successful in the rest of their life. So, stage 1 is trust versus mistrust. And when a child is thrust into the world at birth, instantly until their first birthday, they're going to gain a sense of trust. If they have a great caregiver or parent who cares for their needs, who loves them, is reliable, gives them a sense of security, that child will have a sense of trust. And then they will be able to successfully and effectively move into stage 2, years 1 to 3, autonomy versus shame and doubt. If that child had that sense of trust, then they're going to feel good about themselves. They're going to have some willpower, and they're going to want to be autonomous and figure out things on their own, develop those motor and mental skills. They're going to have a sense of independence. I've got this. My parents set me up for this. But if a child did not have that sense of trust, their first year of their life, then they're going to have mistrust. they're not going to feel safe. They're not going to be able to trust other people. And if they can't trust other people, then they're not going to have the willpower to be autonomous. They're going to develop what Erik Erikson calls shame and doubt. And then they're going to lack the mental and motor skills. They're going to lack the confidence. And these two stages right here really lead into the rest of the stages: initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, all the way until the end of their life: ego, integrity versus despair. Those first two stages really set a person up. Are they going to be successful in their development for the rest of their life? If they don't have their needs met in the first two stages, in my thoughts, it's really going to hinder the rest of their life's development. And I really think Erik Erikson's 8 stages, he hits it right on the head. I really agree with all of them. And like I said, I can really use this in assessing what I'm seeing in a student when they come in to see me as a school counselor. Thank you.